Heading to Portugal and wanting to see the colourful Pena Palace? Of course. If you plan it right, you can see the beautiful Pena Palace and the town of Sintra in one day. But stay tuned because there is a lot to learn to make sure that this day goes smoothly. You've already chosen to go to Pena Palace because you know about its uniquely colorful and dynamic exterior. I don't really need to convince you why you should go see Pena Palace. But there are so many costly mistakes and hiccups that could happen without the tips I'm about to share with you. There are a few options when buying your ticket to Pena Palace. You can access the palace exterior and grounds for a lower price, or you can purchase a ticket for the palace interior as well as the exterior. We bought both, and while the interior was interesting to walk through, I'm not sure we would buy those tickets again. When we went in early May, the lineup to go through was incredibly long, and although we picked a time slot, we still needed to wait in the hot sun to enter the palace. It felt more like one long lineup through a museum than an exploration of a palace. We also had kids with us, so that will have affected our experience. I think the outside is spectacular to see, and we would prefer to spend a bit more time in the town or seeing some of the other amazing sites in Sintra, like the Moorish Castle, Sintra National Palace, or, pardon my pronunciation, Quinta da Regaleira. When you go to buy your ticket to Pena Palace, you might be asked to purchase, in addition to that, a bus ticket. Keep in mind that this bus actually takes you from the entrance of Pena Palace to the palace itself. So it doesn't take you from Sintra, the town, up the mountain to the Pena Palace entrance. It does not do that. It just brings you from the entrance to Pena Palace. The walk from the entrance to Pena Palace itself is about a 15 to 20 minute uphill walk. So you can get the bus and it's about a 5-minute bus ride, but keep in mind, even that is very popular and the lineups get very long. We did choose to buy the bus ticket, but we only used it to get up to the palace itself, and we ended up not taking it back down because we wanted to meander through the palace grounds and the gardens. Quite beautiful, and I definitely recommend that. If you do decide to buy a ticket to enter Pena Palace, then you're going to need to pick a time slot. We picked one in the morning. I don't think it was very first thing. We wanted to give ourselves a little time to get there, which was really good because we didn't realize how hard it was going to be or how long it was going to be to get into the interior. When we got to the Pena Palace entrance, the lineup was really long and we were really worried that we were going to miss our time to get into the palace, because on the website it kind of tells you to be punctual and be there at the time that you picked, but then the lineup was so long there was no way we were going to make it in time. It seemed at the time, in our instance anyways, that as long as you were there past the time slot, they were okay with it. But here's my tip. Book something in the morning, as early as you can. Try to get to the Pena Palace right at the time that it opens. Make your way to the Pena Palace entrance to the interior immediately and get to that lineup. So that way, when you're done going through the palace, then you have all the time in the world to be able to just kind of meander around the exterior of the palace and be able to see the palace grounds and gardens as well. Because the lineup wasn't super long when we got there. We just kind of took our time and we were looking around, and all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, that lineup was crazy long. We wasted a lot of time just waiting in that lineup and not really being able to explore the palace more. And one last tip, make sure you bring water, and if you can, some way to have some shade, because it can get very hot lining up to get into the palace. So you bought your ticket, you know a little bit about the lineup for getting into the interior, and now we're just going to talk about getting to Pena Palace. Did you know that Pena Palace is actually at the top of Sintra Mountain, that the parking is very limited in Sintra, and that they've actually put in a lot more restrictions on where you can park within Sintra. And so you need to plan ahead on how you are going to get to the Pena Palace entrance. Let me tell you all about it. First, you'll need to choose how you're going to get there. Are you taking a train from Lisbon? This is a cheap and easy way to get into Sintra without the hassle of having to find parking. It drops you off within walking distance distance of the downtown area. The train leaves about every 30 minutes and takes approximately 40 minutes to get to Sintra. Or are you planning to drive and park? Keep in mind that the parking is limited. When we got there, we ended up really lucking out, and there was a long lineup of cars, and as we just kind of approached the base of the mountain that goes up to Pena Palace, there ended up just being somebody who was backing out of a parking spot, and we were able to take it. It was so lucky because it was also right across from where we were staying in Sintra, so super lucked out. But that is not the case for everybody. If you were to leave, continue on through the downtown area and just kind of leave that space, you'd probably be able to find some that's in the more residential areas. But that's even going to be hard, and just really watch out for where you are and are not allowed to park. One tip we noticed is that early in the morning and late at night, the parking was pretty clear. So if you decide to either come in the morning, try to be there before like 8 o'clock. And if you're gonna be there if you come in the evening beforehand, which is what we did, well, we actually came in the afternoon, worst time ever. But if you were to come the day before, then just come in the evening around 7 or later. And then hopefully you'll have a little bit of an easier time finding parking. I really want to paint a picture of this on how you're going to get kind of into Sintra and up to the palace. So you either train in or drive in. Now you're in Sintra, the town. From the town, you're gonna have to get a taxi, a tuk-tuk, or a bus. I would not actually recommend the bus. It takes a long time to get up there. We took the tuk-tuk. We loved it. The kids had so much fun just bouncing around the whole time. You can ask them to kind of give you a little bit of a tour as you go, and probably the more expensive way, but a nice way to do it. We spent about 20 euros to take the tuk-tuk up. That was for the 4 of us, but I think it's because they gave us a discount for our kids. I think normally it's around $7 to $9 per person, euros I should say. Get into Sintra, you take a tuk-tuk, let's say, and you have to go up the mountain to the Pena entrance. Now you're at the Pena entrance and you're still not at the Pena Palace. You are still down below, and that's the 15 to 20 minute walk to the palace, or you take the 5-minute bus ride up. Now you're at the Pena Palace. You can walk into the palace and towards the entrance to the Pena Palace interior. Or you can just take your time and walk around the exterior if you're not going to visit the interior. So I tell you all of this because I really want you to prepare your time, plan appropriately for how you're going to get to the interior of the Pena Palace if you decide to buy that ticket, because it's not as simple as I'm gonna drive in, go to a parking spot, and then walk into Pena Palace. It doesn't work like that. So I'm hoping that this helps you understand the steps that you're gonna need to take to get there. Hopefully it goes a little smoother for you. It's a lot to prepare just to get to the Pena Palace. I really want to emphasize how absolutely beautiful and unique it is to go to Pena Palace. It is well worth it, a spectacular sight, and we have seen so many castles and palaces throughout our travels, and it is at one of the top places that we've been to. We love taking in the colors, the look, the grandness, the little bits and pieces and corners that are so unique and beautiful, and the sights from Pena Palace because it's at the top of the mountain. It is a gorgeous place to see, and I promise you it is worth all the effort to get there. Once you are there and you're on the exterior of the Pena Palace, then there is also a cafe. It has a few things that are kind of unique and interesting to try. However, I think that I would have just packed a picnic and eaten it at some of the tables that they had there, and then saved our money for the town of Sintra and all the delicious food that they have available there. After you spend a few hours, let's say 3 to 4, I think that we spent about 4 hours, maybe a little bit more, including like getting there and all that kind of stuff. It depends on who you are, how long you like to take. So I'm gonna just go with what we did, which was about 4 hours. And that was to see the interior, exterior, grounds, and gardens. Once we were back down towards the bottom, or like the entrance of Pena grounds again, then we still needed to get like a taxi or a tuk-tuk or something back down the mountain. Once you get down and you are back into Sintra, you can eat all of the glorious food and treats and see all the tiny little shops with all the beautiful little gifts and things that they have going on there. It's a wonderful little town to explore. Or if you came the night before and you've already seen the town of Sintra, then you can take the time to go see some of the other amazing, super amazing sites that they have in Sintra. So very many. And we would suggest for sure to go to, again, apologize for the pronunciation, Quinta da Regaleira. It has the initiation well. It's like this beautiful luxury palace. It's small, but it's still really intricate and beautiful. And they have beautiful gardens, and they have these really cool, like maze-like caves. I promise you, you will be amazed. If you want to see more on this, then just check it out here. I hope this was really helpful. Please comment below if there's anything that we missed and that you would like to know about. We love to answer your questions. And thank you for joining us every further mile.